Hello and welcome back to my channel, my friends. We are back in the woods because it's been a run of really hot and humid days. It's just miserable. The animals are a little unhappy and they're not very entertaining when they're laying in the shade. It's kind of like going to the zoo on a 90-degree day and all you see are a bunch of sleeping animals hiding in the shade or hiding in their living quarters. So yes, we're back in the woods because I needed the shade, I need the cool, I need the breeze. From a topic perspective, this is probably going to be a multiple parter. I'm not sure yet. I don't know how long it'll take me to get through the story, but I thought I'd actually share the story of bringing home the donkeys and not knowing what in the world we were doing. So keep in mind that for about 15 years of my life, I did dog and cat and small animal and exotic rescue. I have handled animals from, snakes to spiders, lizards, things with teeth, things without teeth, hedgehogs, guinea pigs, ferret, you name it, right? It's been through my household. Parrots, not much intimidates me. And we do a lot of work with those exotics because, of course, they get purchased as a pet for somebody who then loses interest or doesn't realize what the care and expense requirements are. And thankfully, most times we were able to rehome them after a while, but I became pretty well versed in handling just about any animal that you could throw at me. And that included unhappy dogs, feral cats, you name it, right? At any rate, so when we decided to go the donkey route, and I talked to you about that in the History of the Farm series, so if you haven't watched that, check that out. But when we decided to go the route of the donkeys, didn't think twice about it, right? I did my research. I know how long donkeys live. I know what they need to eat. I know what they need for shelter and for care. I understand their personalities, or at least to the best of my ability. I've met donkeys, I've petted donkeys. I felt pretty comfortable that I knew what I was doing. So we find a breeder, we pick out our donkeys. One of them is a rescue, the other is a baby. So we had a balance of the joy of, having our own baby donkey, but also that baby donkey having an adult donkey to look after them, to learn from, and for us to feel like, we're not just helping overpopulate the world by only buying babies and leaving rescues alone. So good balance for us. The baby wasn't ready to come home yet when we picked her out. She was still nursing and with her mom. So great, we had time. We had our outrun delivered, we had bedding, we started to pick up all the basics that we need. We learned where Tractor Supply was and, how to get hay, right? And it was interesting. You don't Google how to get hay or where to buy hay. That doesn't happen. You actually have to know a farmer. And in our area, if there's a hay shortage, you better have been a client of that farmer for a long time. So I was very blessed to have my wonderful mentor neighbor who was with me throughout and who had long been a client and was able to hook me up with hay, was able to help me figure out what my bedding needs were, right? What she feeds her horses. Now donkeys are different than horses, but at least it was a start. Which is the right muck rake and muck buckets. So all that was fairly easy to do, I would say. And then it came time to bring the donkeys home. Well, we don't have a trailer. And, it kind of dawned on us that they were way too big to put in a crate or put in the back. I mean, yes, people do absolutely put them in vans and transport them in crazy ways, but that's not our style. So once again, we leaned on our neighbor / mentor, and they hooked up their horse trailer for us, to come with us on an adventure to pick up our donkeys. All right, all's good. We've got our donkeys. They're home, they're safe. We've put halters on them. We want to leash walk them or train them to, so we start walking them on the leash. We bring them across our yard, across our neighbor's yard to visit with her horses. I don't know that that was the smartest thing to do, you know, in retrospect. Probably unnecessary, but we did it, right? It was exciting. It was fun. She was patient and tolerant with us. And I can't thank her enough for that, because some of the etiquette mistakes we made, like, hi, let me just drag this animal over to your property to say hi to your animals. That is not something I recommend doing anymore. Thankfully, everything worked out for the best. But now we had these donkeys, and we needed to train them to be handled. We needed to be able to do their hoof trims. And as it turns out, you really need a farrier for that. Well, again, how do you find a farrier? You can Google farriers, but farriers are in short supply. They're in high demand, and good ones have clients that they can't handle already, and they turn them down. So once again, enter our mentor who has a farrier, who brings that farrier in for their horses, and that farrier was willing to, at the same visit, since we were on the same property, do our donkeys. Frankly, if he wasn't already there with an existing client, he would not have done our donkeys. We would not have been able to become a client on our own. 2 donkeys is not enough income for a farrier to make a special trip. It's also not in interest when they can get a lot more income from thoroughbreds, from racing horses, all of which are in, you know, high supply here in Hunterdon County. So we got lucky again there. The next step was to get them new tack, right? They came with tack. Tack is a halter, leads, things you need to handle an animal. So we went to a store called Horseman Supply Outlet, and whew, that was overwhelming, to say the least. You know, most of the stuff was for horses, saddles, riding gear, etc. But the amount of different types of feed, different types of minerals, different types of combs and brushes, and all the things that you need for, you know, horse keeping was just overwhelming. And I'm painfully shy and embarrassed to admit that I don't know what the hell I'm doing. So I'm wandering this store. The people there can obviously tell I'm not a horse person. Have no idea what I'm doing there, and aren't really interested in engaging with this poor soul who looks lost and isn't actively seeking out help. Over the years, I've gotten much more comfortable with that, and you know, now I can ask for help. But let me tell you, when you're painfully shy and you don't know what you're asking for, and you just want somebody to step in and say, what do you own and how can I help you? And it doesn't happen, you don't know what to do. So we ended up buying a lot of stuff that ultimately we didn't need, right? We didn't need horse halters. Yes, they fit the donkeys. Way too heavy duty. Long leads and, you know, all these different combs and brushes and shampoos and hoof shine. I mean, just so much stuff. And, you know, we didn't buy everything, of course, but yeah, as non-knowledgeable, you see it, you see that horse people are saying, yes, you have to have this. And you go, okay, I have to have this. So I get it. The lesson here for me, over again some time as I became more comfortable with my new lifestyle, my new shopping locations, the new places I needed to go to pick up supplies that were completely new to me, right? I can walk in a pet store. I know exactly how to get what I need. I know what I'm looking at. I know how to look at nutrition facts. I didn't know any of that in an agricultural store. It was very, very different and needed a learning curve. But the learning for me, and this is critical, so if you're watching this to figure out how to be a farmer or how to have your livestock, is start with the minimal amount necessary. Be a minimalist. I am now a minimalist in my entire life, but there's no need for hundreds of dollars of equipment to start. If you need that equipment, you'll find out you need that equipment and then you go get it. Don't buy it in advance of knowing that you need it, because you may never need it. And I would guess, don't be shy. Don't be intimidated. And I know this is going to sound funny, but for those of you that know, this is an if you know thing. Horse people are intimidating. They just are. They're different. They have different perspective or a different look, a different experience level. Many of them have been riding for, decades, since they were tiny. It's their lifestyle. So when you don't know what the heck you're doing as a grown adult, it's intimidating. I'm not intimidated anymore, and I've discovered many, many horse people that are absolutely wonderful over the years. But that's just how I felt at the time. Don't let that stop you. And don't let your instincts get overwhelmed to the point that you are listening to everybody and kind of buying everything, right? Minimalist. What do you need? My donkeys now wear their halters once a year. And that once a year is for the vet visit. Actually, that's not true. They wear it 3 times a year. Once a year for the vet visit and twice a year for the farrier. And yes, now we have our own farrier, which is fabulous. And we grow our own hay, and we have our own farmer for that hay. So we are now the experienced client with years of service that we can now leverage when we're mentoring others, and we do. So I'm going to end it here with just a little blurb to say, don't ever hesitate to jump into anything new, no matter what it is. Try not to be intimidated by folks who have decades of experience on you, and don't be afraid to ask for help. People will help you. They really actually want to help you, but they don't know you need it if you don't ask. I hope you had a wonderful walk with me through the woods. It was nice and cool and beautiful. We got a chance to see a little bit of the donkeys grazing. And I'm going to talk to you at the next one. Bye for now.